Welcome to Breaking the Ice. We're Patel, Greene & Associates, and we're here to tell stories about our three favorite things: business, culture, and engineering. Let's get to it. All right, well, welcome back to the PGA Breaking the Ice podcast. This is episode 2 for us, and before I introduce our guest, what we're going to be covering on this episode, we started with a title of No Jerks. It's a kind of a philosophy on how we bring people in. And so with me to talk about that is the only jerk we allowed in,
Clearly.
Joe Lauk. So Joe Lauk is our director of Roadway. Just kidding. He's like the nicest guy ever. And he's going to be talking with me, Gordon Greene, as we kind of cover some of the philosophy of PGA, how we treat our people, how we handle different things, conflict management. So we do get kind of into the no jerks thing, but just wanted to have a good conversation, help sort of help folks understand, what it's like to be at PGA. And so anyway,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, where should we start?
I don't know. Wherever you want to.
All right, so maybe we'll start. I don't know, maybe how it went today. What did we do today?
Played golf.
Yeah, we worked hard today. Played a little golf. I got my socks on. My shoes are hurting me. So if you're watching on YouTube, get a little peek at my socks. We had a pretty good time, and got to invite one of our young engineers to play with us. Kind of through our mentorship program, but it was really just a good opportunity to.
Well, he's
him
your
along.
mentee, but I did most of the mentoring.
Correct.
So
I
we'll see how
delegated.
it works.
I delegated that. So yeah, we had a good time. Had Trevor Hawkins there. I guess shout out to the West Coast branch of FES and Ashy, and
Yep.
they put on a pretty good golf tournament today. So Trevor Hawkins with PGAs was a big part of that, and they got a whole team of those folks did a really good job there. So yeah, we had some fun there, getting along with each other. So that kind of speaks a little bit to
Work hard, play hard.
Well, work hard, play hard, but also, it's me and hiring and you and bringing Noah along. Like,
Right.
No, I wouldn't even have thought twice about it unless we were kind of thinking about these things. And so maybe that's a good place to start is kind of our flat organization, but really how we think about that. We're not intentionally being flat for any sort of necessarily business reason. I think it's more culturally that just fits us better. There's no real vertical hierarchy where I'm more important than you and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I think like today, being able to be out there with a younger engineer, hanging out, talking, get to know them, you can see that our younger staff recognize that in us, can ask us questions about different things going on in the company, different things that they're doing in their day to day. And yeah, they recognize maybe we're not doing the CAD work anymore.
Right.
But we're still in it. We're still doing it, interacting with the client, interacting internally. We're not this sort of back looking at numbers all day long. I think our folks recognize.
yeah, I mean, when it comes to the no jerks thing, you think of a jerk, it's, someone maybe yelling or whatever. And I don't think anybody's tolerating that really. But there's other ways that you can kind of be a jerk and create an environment in the office that people don't really want to be a part of. And I think that's the attitude of, well, that's not really my job. I don't do that anymore. I don't think I really have time for you. Even if people aren't explicitly saying those things out loud, you can say those things with your actions and your attitude. And that's not something that we tolerate here.
Yeah.
So that's super important to us when we're hiring. And I think we sometimes will ask questions about that. So I don't know, maybe.
I guess, take it way back. Like that was one of the things that I saw when I was contemplating leaving my previous place of employment of where would I fit, right? And we often talk about seller doer, but it was even more than that. It was really just like all hands on deck to get stuff done, and we're a team. Doesn't matter what we're doing. Whether it's outside of my area of expertise or not my project, like everyone was helping. And I could tell that even at the onset of young PGA, and that's always been things that at least I've tried to continue to instill in our growth. Younger folks that we bring on, hey, if you want to try something, don't feel like you're hindered in what you're doing right now. You're just roadway. No, like take an opportunity to go work, do some drainage work, or structure that there's an opportunity. Help out, learn something new.
Yep.
And I think we've always at least continued to try to drive that internally. I think we're pretty successful.
Yeah. No, I think that goes a long way. I think people appreciate that. I think a lot of that comes down to trust. I think if you want your folks to trust you, you have to show that you trust them, to maybe try those new things. Trust that they're gonna be honest with it. It's either working out or it's not. Trust that they want to be the best engineer, planner, whatever that they can be. And if they're feeling a certain way, like some little change might help do that, then we're all for it.
Do you think we've had any times when maybe folks don't have that mindset? And ways we try to address that, either one in the hiring process or even after maybe somebody's come on.
Yeah, well, hiring's tough, right? Like we can ask all those questions. We can say, are you willing to step in and do? And of course, everybody will say in an interview, absolutely, I'll do. I'll take out the trash. Too, sure. But when they come in, if that's not something they're willing to do, you figure that out pretty quick. And I try to emphasize that when I'm giving advice on hiring. Like, yes, ask all the good questions, have a few meetings to get a feel for somebody. But we are just like everyone. We've been fooled. Um, but you figure it out quick. And I think we do figure it out quick, because we have, I would say, I mean, I've only worked at places, so it's biased opinion,
Sure.
obviously. But listen to people that have come in, so I'm sort of using that to form my opinion as well. The concentration of kind people that fit that mold, I think we have like a whole company of them, whereas other companies have plenty of those people, but
Right.
plenty that aren't that way. So when someone comes in and they aren't like that, it's like a foreign body and they just get ejected. Like they stick out so quick and so much that it's obvious.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to deal
Yeah. And I think, you know, in terms of the no jerk, I think sometimes maybe we've been a little kind and try maybe too long or too hard to either make things fit that don't fit or try to adopt and adapt. And sometimes it's just not the right fit.
Yeah.
But we have that loving kindness, like just make things work and make good opportunities for people to be successful.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does work. Like sometimes we've had some adjustments, reestablish expectations, and things are fine. But yeah, I think it's always an interesting thing.
Well, that's certainly if there's a downside to being kind and all that, it's such it's drawn out. I, I've certainly learned this since we started PGA, and you have to deal with that sort of thing. Sometimes I have to be the jerk in a way, when something's clearly not working out. Nobody listens to me usually because people are,
Right.
like, let's just give them one more chance. But I think oftentimes we know. And here's my thing. It's not really being a jerk. Sure. Because if someone's here and they're underperforming
Right.
for whatever reason,
Right.
it's usually not due to incompetence.
No. Right.
There's
It's just not right.
we do
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
we do not do rocket science here. It is nothing is super
Speak for yourself.
complicated. Yeah, I understand. Um, but you have to like it. I mean,
Right.
like anything else, you have to like what you do to be good at it. And if it's not something you enjoy, then you're not going to be particularly good at it. So it's not a kindness
Yeah.
to hold somebody in a position where they're not going to be successful.
Agree.
So, like, I try to encourage, like, yes, it's not going to be fun if it comes down to, we need to let somebody go. But it truly is a kindness. And a lot of times when that happens, either we do that and we go through that, or we don't, and then they end up quitting or whatever, it ends the same. Um, those people that are truly hardworking and smart, but just, couldn't click in here or didn't quite like what we do here, they go somewhere else and they're,
Super
I mean,
successful.
super successful, which makes us happy.
Right. Absolutely.
Makes us happy, even if we didn't want them to leave.
Sure.
Which I think can be a distinction. We're not unique in that. There's a lot of engineering firms and people within those firms that are able to sort of transcend uh, the business part of it, But there's quite a few.
Yeah.
If you leave that company, you're dead to them,
Right.
and things can be awkward and things like that, which is so silly.
Because
so-
it's such a small industry.
Oh,
too.
well, we always say too, don't be
Heck,
don't
be
be
your client
be
tomorrow, yeah.
kind. Honestly, be truly kind, but certainly don't be rough,
Yeah.
because they may be going to another consultant now. 6 months or 6 years from
Sure.
now, they may be deciding which contracts you get. So better mind your P's and Q's. So if you're not naturally kind, there's a reason to be kind right there. Yeah, I think that's something we take a lot of pride in. I know, like, we as leadership, we try to encourage, when someone maybe has their feelings hurt because someone they really sort of enjoyed working with and had all these high hopes for, and they leave for whatever reason, and they want to get upset. Well, being upset's okay, but we're not going to treat that person any different. As a matter of fact, we're gonna,
Treat that with respect.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, respect and, like, truly try to genuinely wish them well, and because it is, like, we spent a lot of time and energy on this company, and it is very important to us, but it's not everything. It's really not everything. Life and civilization and society and treating each other with love and kindness is definitely more important than this dang engineering company.
And we talk about this, but it's not an everyday occurrence. And matter of fact, I think we're pretty good on like retention and keeping folks. So, it comes across every once in a while, but this is not something we have to deal with a whole lot. So I think we're lucky in that standpoint, but it's something we have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What's next? Oh, here's a good example. I guess internal, like, strife, not strife, but stressful situations. So, something goes wrong on a project, or it's just super tight deadlines, and all that, which happens, obviously. Can you think of any times where that happened where you're like, man, this would be a prime example or a prime opportunity for someone to get all wrapped around the axle and mad, but here we are, we're not. The kindness is still there, and we're loving each other through this situation.
Yeah, I mean, without going into tons of specifics, but we had a bunch of alternative analysis cost estimates that were super quick turnaround. And it's so easy to get upset at the client for why they want this done so fast and why they need to have all these different things evaluated. It just needs to be done, right? Like sometimes that's what the client needs, and sometimes that means staying late. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us stayed till 2 o'clock in the morning just to get it out so the client had it first thing in the morning. Everybody could have said like, no, just not going to do this.
Sure.
But I mean, we all stuck around, had dinner, put our noses around, got it done. And like, we all felt good about it. We're excited. Like, man, that was a lot of work, but we did it together. It was
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. It's like in the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So those are the tough times, but the fun times, because you'll learn who your partners are. You know what, you know, things people are good at, maybe things maybe people aren't so good at, and work on their strengths and people lean on your strengths. Yeah, I I've learned a lot, and gotten to know a lot of folks working those late hours trying to
Yeah.
get stuff out the door.
Yes. You bond in those times for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of one example, and PGA people listening to this, including the marketing folks looking at us right now. I won't even name the proposal. Correct. It was like we put a whole big proposal together, so much work. We were proud of it, and then we missed a deadline by whatever, a few minutes or something crazy. Again, I mean, that might be the most prime opportunity for fingers to be pointed and people get mad and blame and all that. But, and I'm sure there was frustration abounding, but I'm not aware of any of that happening. It was just like well, that happened. Let's figure out why that happened. That didn't happen again, but also like, you know, it's not like it wasn't lack of effort. It wasn't really anybody's fault per se. Maybe the process or something was at fault, whatever, and we could fix that. But man, like there was none of it.
Right.
That's just the kind of folks we have, and I guess the culture that we've been able to foster is like we're not gonna. What good does it do? What good does it do to get all mad at each other? We got to go work on the next proposal anyway.
And I think, on the example you're given, it was multiple people that sort of stepped up and said, I had
Yes.
a part of that. It wasn't
Yes.
just one person. It was,
Right.
multiple people that came and said that.
Yeah, we used to I took a lot of lessons away from playing baseball as a kid. But I remember that was one of them because a lot of times I would play shortstop, and that's kind of the uh, leader of the field or whatever. And if anybody ever made an error, even if you had nothing to do with it, it was your job to go, "Hey, that's my fault."
Yeah, my bad.
And there was a lot of that, people just like trying to take the blame off of anyone that
Yes.
felt like maybe they, kind of were or whatever. But to me, that was such a great example of like, this is really this is a great group of people. All right, so maybe let's get into utilization.
Ooh.
I'm gonna try to make you talk more, but this is kind of a
Gordon topic.
it's a pet peeve of
It's a Gordon
mine.
topic. Yeah.
So why don't
You
you?
me ask you the questions?
No, I'm the host,
And I'm the guest.
and you're the
right.
guest.
Fair.
So you've heard me get on my soapbox a few times about utilization. So why don't you share the PGA philosophy on individual utilization goals delivered to the employee?
Yeah. I think the philosophy is we just don't do it. Right. And I think, I don't think, I know, there's no value. The perception that I've got when you give somebody a goal is they're going to do everything that they can to meet that goal. They're not responsible for bringing in work. How are they going to be able to meet that goal? The only way to do it is to charge to some job. Maybe they're not working. So I think the philosophy of not setting those goals, being transparent with where we're at on projects, being fair to our clients by only billing to the projects when we're actually working on those projects, and being transparent on where we're at. Like, folks will work on the jobs that they've got. So things look a little light in the future. Go out and win some more work, keep people busy. I mean, I've worked at a consultant before here. You did it as well. I I think everybody had those goals, right? And I don't know if they drove anything other than, yep, somebody met that number. What does that mean? Everybody had those dog jobs that sure you met that number. You didn't make
Didn't
any
make
money.
any
What does it
money.
matter?
Exactly.
So I think just collectively of letting folks know how jobs are doing, how busy we are, what stuff looks like 6 months from now. People just work on jobs to get stuff done at the door and work the next thing.
You ever feel like maybe there's folks that take advantage of that freedom or
I
that trust that we put in them?
I don't think so. I think maybe you will have folks that will want to use their time to get stuff like training done or participate in things. I don't necessarily know that they're taking advantage of it. I think they just don't necessarily know how the process works and
Yeah.
how the company makes money. So that's on us to better explain to them and have managers better understand the process. Um, but I mean, it's all about teaching them, letting them understand. And most of the time when they understand that, it's like, oh, something clicks in their head and they understand, hey, we need to get stuff out the door, make some money.
Exactly. You want to know what I think about it?
Same thing.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do think the same thing. But especially at the size that we're at now, a little bit bigger, I there's obviously the opportunity for someone to sneak in and take advantage of that because we're going to trust first. It's not like you come in here, earn our trust. We're going to start with trust, and then if you screw that up, that's on you. But most people don't. Most people are,
Right.
especially in the engineering industry, they're good, honest people, and they want to work hard and do a good job. Um, but here's, I guess, my thing. So what if someone does come in and take advantage for a little while? That'll out itself
Right.
in
Sure.
time, and I think here it'll out itself sooner than later. Of course, we have to be at that point willing to go. All right, we can't trust you. You don't belong here. Um, Easier said than done. We already talked about that a little bit. We're kind people. We want to give people the benefit of the doubt and all that good stuff. But in the end, it works itself out one way or the other, and then you're back to your core group of people that you can trust, and we can do great things with those.
I think it's important, maybe folks that are listening, right? Like, it's not that we don't track utilization.
Yeah.
And we don't set anticipated goals from trying to understand what our billables will look like. But just forcing that upon an employee of, hey, you need to meet this target. That's where I think it goes above and beyond being practical or beneficial.
Yeah.
When you empower your leadership for understanding what those numbers should be, when things start tracking, then you can engage, a group leader and say, hey, it looks like, your billability is down a little bit. Are we in between jobs? We need to go pursue some stuff.
Right.
But it's not you're not meeting your target. You're out of here. Kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
I-
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the answer is typically something like, "We're chasing so much of work, man.
Right.
What do you want us to do?"
Right. And it's not a pressure. It's what can I do to help you
Right.
be successful?
Right.
Or get other folks to, mind some projects or mind some contracts and get you some work and pull some stuff out for you. It's never hey, you're not target.
Right. Yeah, we just went through this a little bit here at the beginning of the year, just like what you're saying. Put some goals to people so we could do some revenue projection stuff. We're not irresponsible businessmen. We do. You have to do that thing to work the math.
Sure.
And Eddie and I met with you, and of course you get all this, so I didn't have to give you my preamble. But some of the other group leaders had to give. So it was an opportunity, honestly, to share this philosophy with folks. Like, okay, we're going to be talking about individuals and what we think their utilization will be.
But it's not their goal.
But we're not going to share.
Right.
And then for some people, I think some maybe that were a little newer, I wanted to make sure they understood. I said, as a matter of fact, I forbid you. That's the exact word I used. I forbid you from telling these people what their goals are because it's not important.
Correct.
It's not important. So
It's a planning tool. That's all
Correct.
it is. It's a tool.
We need it for the math.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that goes a long way. And I know when we share that with people, especially folks that have worked at a place where that's a big deal,
Mhm.
it resonates.
And I think that coupled with our single cost center approach, really guides towards that trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you hire new folks or you're bringing on a new discipline, it's not a us versus you. It's not a are they making money? We're doing good over here. It's collectively we're trying to help grow this thing and be successful. And we know that there's going to be investment in a lot of this stuff. And, you know, those whatever chargeability goals might not come for 6 months, 12 months, depending on what it is.
Right.
But that's easy when we're one cost center rather than a bunch of individual silos, because that's where the pointing comes. I think that philosophy goes a long way.
Yep. Yep. And we're always trying to do something special. We were interviewing a guy the other day, and he'd been around a while and worked for a few different places, and a few of them at least gave goals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Utilization was a big thing, and he appreciated that we didn't do that, but suggested that well, when you if you get too much bigger, whatever,
Just
three,
gonna have
500,000, then you're probably going to have to. And in my brain, and I said it out loud to him, I'm like, why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would you have to? Explain that to me. Why would you ever have to?
I think if you propagate the culture and you instill the expectations rather than like the end result, like you get this. No, like set a process that works. It's expandable. It can work.
Absolutely it
Uh,
is.
It might take a little bit more to work, and you need management leadership to have a grasp of like not all of the groups can grow exponentially all the time,
Right.
right? You have to focus on key areas. Some of those areas will sustain the others.
Right.
But don't put that onus on an employee that has no
Correct.
like opportunity to manage that. It doesn't work that
It does not work exactly. It oftentimes I think people think that because it is hard.
way. Yeah.
That is the hard way to do it, but it's the best way. And I think when we get to that point, 500 people, 1,000 people, whatever, we will. The only way we're gonna, maintain this philosophy at that size is that it is ingrained in that
Absolutely.
culture. So we're kind of in the middle of that, as we're scaling up and growing and trusting sort of that group leader level to convey the culture, like live the culture, share the culture. Like that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think as we continue to grow and we run into hurdles and try to tackle stuff, we maybe can't do things the way we used to. But I think the underlying principles are always going to stay the
Yeah.
same. How we manage it maybe is a little bit different.
Sure.
But I don't ever see us like you've got to hit this utilization and Roadway is its own group.
Right.
Those things I think are
Yeah.
pretty much-
Anti-cultural.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you bring up a good topic. Yeah. And like I said, we're kind of in the middle of it. So let's just spitball here while all the recording equipment's going. So no individual utilization target. That's definitely there forever.
Yeah.
Don't do it. We're going to stand out with that. If you could name just one more thing for now that we would say, no matter how big we get and maybe the way we carry certain things out may have to change as we get bigger, the thing itself never change. Yeah, that's a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, you didn't.
I probably should have had my own answer ready before I asked that question.
Man. Yeah, I don't know right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the true answer. But I tend to, when things come up of, hey, we just can't do it the same anyway anymore. In my mind, the question is why?
Mm.
And if the answer is typically like, well, we're gonna have to change this system, or we're gonna have to, do more meetings or coordinate or whatever, that's not always the greatest of answers. If it's just because we haven't done it that way, or we've been doing it this way, it doesn't work anymore. Well, Can we tweak? Can we make it work?
Right.
What's the deal? But philosophically, we shouldn't just completely change something because our system isn't working anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, when we change philosophy, we change our approach to something completely, it takes away everything we've done to that point that's made us successful. So when we make a drastic change, we really need to think about it before we execute anything drastic.
Yeah, we should always have a why
Absolutely.
every single time. I think I got one. Maybe I'll see what you think about it.
No.
So I was thinking like back to mission. So mission, elevate our families, communities, and our profession. And also like what I like to do is I really like to do this. If we're interviewing somebody and I'm there, but someone else is there, maybe they're the hiring manager. They're just part of this, team trying to recruit into like as much as possible. I like to let them sell. Because I've done it a bunch of times anyway.
Sure.
And I just like to hear other people sell the company to potential recruits. And what's often brought up, the no utilization. People love that.
Mhm.
And we don't do it just because we think it'll help us recruit. Like
Right.
it's
It's a thing. Right.
yes,
It's
come
a
on,
thing.
we're not doing it. But there's also like the parties that we do,
Sure.
or events and parties and stuff like that, because we do a good number of them and we do it up. That's definitely a big one. So I think that falls into elevating our families. And so I think to your point, like we're still able to have one big party, like Chris, we'll just take the holiday party.
Yeah.
And we have one big party in Orlando, and we can still do that. It makes sense. We got plans of being all over the Southeast, taking over the world, whatever, right? At some point,
Yeah.
that's not gonna be feasible to just have that party anyway. We'll still have the big
Right.
party in Orlando, but at some point we may have to have other parties, maybe,
Regional or
maybe,
whatever. Right.
or maybe we'll fly everybody in. I don't know, but
Right.
even that would be a change to
Correct.
maintain the thing. So the thing is, the event, party, the whatever, but it's always, if it's an adult event, it's always please bring somebody else. It's usually your
Yeah.
spouse, but it's
Right.
it's whoever. Bring your mom, bring your nephew. Like you bring one other person so we can meet more of your family. And if it's a family event, it's a family event. I don't know, other than random, it's like small office happy hours where it's like inconvenient to bring your family. Everything you're bringing somebody. And I
Or at least the opportunity to bring
yeah, or
someone.
the opportunity, sure. And that's part of our mission to elevate our families is to create those opportunities. So I think that should go in the box of
Never change.
never change. Now,
Yeah,
I don't know, there
what
might be
it
some
is
Great
might change.
Depression and
Yeah,
the
sure.
big, huge, party with the dinner and everything may not be financially feasible, but
Right.
we're going to go somewhere and we're going to do something and you're going to bring somebody with you
Right.
forever.
Yeah. And I think one of the good things that we've done is recognize that we need to manage and track some of these things. And that's definitely one of the things that we look at in our culture committee of, what are the things that we can do based on how successful we are. And I think it's always been like, we want to take that as long as it can go as one event.
Absolutely.
But like we always understand there might be a point in time, might not be feasible, probably because the event space doesn't hold us anymore, or
Yeah.
whatever hotel we were going to stay at just doesn't have that many rooms. But it's never like, well, we're just not going to do that anymore. I don't think that's ever come up in a conversation. It's just maybe it's a little bit different, but we're still doing something. We
Right.
still want to engage our families, engage our employees and their spouses. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that will ever.
I think that definitely goes in. And, elevating our communities and profession, that's probably, I think those are things part of our mission. We're always going to do them. But that'll certainly change over time. I don't know that I would put that necessarily in the same, I don't know. It feels like it's a kind of a level down from those two things we talked about because they're so critical
Sure.
to the culture. But, getting involved with our communities is a very
That's
important
why
part.
we exist, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, both
I'm
you
just
and
trying to think of, is there one thing we do? I think for those, maybe that's why I'm feeling a little bit
yeah,
of a difference, because I can, the other thing is more tangible. I think the communities thing is, it's more, it's more spread out. It's kind of hard to nail it into one thing. It's just a
sure,
thing that we do,
right.
but we do it in 1,000 different ways.
But I'd challenge that a little bit in the sense that, like, we are always going to dedicate our time, our talents, and our um, efforts to support our communities,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I don't know that there would ever be a time that we, grow to a size where it's like, nope, nobody can go out and
Yeah,
spend
oh,
time in the community, or you can't
absolutely.
donate to this. Like, that's always going to be there. We're
Absolutely.
going to have that in the budget. We're going to make sure that we provide folks time to go to do those things. So
Yeah,
maybe that is one thing that's like
for sure.
solid.
Yeah, at least at that level,
Yeah.
we're going to be involved in our communities. Yeah, for sure. All right, so maybe the last thing we'll take up is how we've, at least somewhat recently, started to hone in on our identity and helped us figure out who works best with us, and maybe folks that we shouldn't even bring in, no matter how amazing they are, because they don't fit that identity. And um, some of that came through uh, finding some leadership in our Orlando office, and a few folks kind of coming in and out of that position. And we're kind of scratching our head like, what is going on? Why can't we get this? And we got like amazing things going on in Orlando. We're about to get into a new space, and so all is well. But we did take some good lessons away from that. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I think it's honing in on, like, what makes us us, right? I think that's always been folks that are willing to go out, sell PGA, come back, get stuff done. So that seller doer mentality has really, I think, allowed us to grow substantially, and not just in one discipline, but really across the company. Um, but also recognizing that some folks have their strengths in some areas. So it doesn't mean that you have to go pursue projects and come back and do all of the CAD in it. No, right? Like, but you need to know what's going on. You need to be plugged in. You need to be in there in the day to day. So recognizing that, yes, some folks are going to be more of the project manager leaders. Some are going to be more of that technical leaders. So it's building on the strengths of the right
Mhm.
folks and building a team that works together cohesively
Right.
to get stuff done. So I think we've come a long way in Orlando and really built that group out to be very successful.
Yep. Yep. To fit in with the rest of what everyone is doing, at least in terms of leadership, I guess. But um, it's also, I think, another example of us not saying necessarily, well, this is how we do it, and this is the best way to do it.
Right.
It's the best way for us to do it, and I guess that's just you know starts with hiring me, but also you and John must said important. Joe, sorry. Really all leadership, who, this may sound judgmental, but it's not. Um, we're engineers. We're engineers anyway, but of course we have planners
Sure.
and we have other professions, and it's the same thing. Whatever it is that folks do here, they enjoy that work. Now, like you're speaking to, there's practicalities. At some point, you get, like you and I aren't really 3D modeling much. We had to make that decision,
Yeah, zero.
and
Darn.
at some point
Yeah,
you have to
John.
let stuff go. So there's some things that we can't
Can't.
actually do anymore, and so other folks have to do that for us. But there's still plenty of engineering that we can do, and we can offer um, our knowledge, and we can give feedback or whatever. Not because I have to, like,
Enjoy
let's
it.
go, man. Let's
Absolutely.
dig in.
Yeah.
What are you dealing with here? Let's try to figure it out. Like, we enjoy it.
Right.
And so, if you're going to come, especially if you're going to be in a leadership position at PGA, that has to be your approach. Otherwise,
But and
you're going
you have
it's
to
not going to be
come
good.
into it excited about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, Yeah, people make fun of me sometimes because I'll jump in to answer a question every once in a while that goes on the general roadway teams. But it's because I'm excited, like, oh, I think I know that. Like, let me help
Yeah.
somebody really quick
Yeah.
because I can't do that with everything anymore. So if I've
Yep.
got that, I'm sharing it. But I think we've got a lot of folks with that same mentality that really just truly are, wanting to help. And I think that goes across the board, leads to why we're successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's critical. And as we continue down the path and continue to grow, we've got all these plans for growth. It's, I guess, wrapping up in summary, all these sort of sacred things that we're putting in the box of these things can never change no matter how big we get. The most recent is this, like, I guess we're seller doers. It's not like it wasn't part of the original vision of
Right.
PGA or anything. And for a while when you're smaller, you can be a little more flexible, and I guess people you hire in their approach to work because, you're smaller and you can do that. But I think we got to the point where it's like, well, it's counterproductive to do that anymore. It seems to be anyway. There's no like wisdom or anything that we're bringing. We're just kind of looking back, and we're getting wiser as we look back and learn some of these lessons. Um, but that was an important one to go, okay, this is how we work best. And so moving forward, as we bring more and more people and we share leadership more and more as we spread out, they have to be this kind of this has to be their approach to work. It has to be, or they're not going to be very successful here. And then we're not, so it doesn't really work for anyone there. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. All this sort of ties into our culture, who we are, and what we really need to hold on to as we grow PGA. Go PGA. Go. All right. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for having me on.
This was a good conversation. I always enjoy talking to you.
You too, man.
Can't wait. 10 more years, 20 more years. We'll be that 1,000.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. Making sure nobody assigns utilization goals to anyone. They're going to do it the day after we leave. They better not.
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us here on the PGA Breaking the Ice podcast. I hope you enjoyed Joe and I talking gibberish and nonsense, and
Hopefully I made sense.
hopefully it made some sense and was helpful and you enjoyed it. And we'll see you back here next time. Thank you. Go PG. Go PG.